News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 on this wet Wednesday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright as we head into hour 2 of KVNU's For the People show. Well, 2 Logan residents are facing federal child kidnapping charges after allegedly taking a 10-year-old to Cuba for gender reassignment surgery without the biological mother's consent. Now, Rose Anessa Ethington, a 42-year-old, along with Blue Anessa Ethington, were deported from Cuba and remain now in federal custody. Now, Rose, the child's biological father, who identifies as transgender, shares custody with the child's biological mother. Now, according to the Logan City Police Department, the group departed back on March 28th for a purported camping trip in Canada. However, they traveled through Mexico and arrived in Havana on April 1st. Now, family members told investigators that they feared that Rose manipulated the child, who was born male but identifies as female, and planned to pursue gender-affirming surgery abroad. Now, following a Utah court order granting the mother sole custody, Cuban authorities were able to locate the group, and the child was returned back to the United States and safely reunited with their mother. In other news, as the summer weather is approaching, a new national study has ranked Utah as the second most unfriendly state in the nation for bicyclists, trailing only Arizona. Now, the study was conducted by a Florida law firm, and they analyzed data on safety, infrastructure, funding, and air quality. Now, researchers found that Utah faces a significant safety divide, reporting over 2.5 cycling fatalities annually per 1 million people. Now, that's nearly double the rate of top-tier states like Massachusetts. Now, data revealed that Utah lacks adequate infrastructure, offering only 2.1 miles of rail trails per 1,000 square miles. Now, furthermore, the state also allocates just 82 cents in federal funds per person for biking and walking projects, compared to nearly $5 in leading states. Now, environmental factors also contributed to the low ranking, as Utah recorded an air quality index score of 51.2, which is the worst in the nation. And finally, 2 men are in custody in Wyoming following a fatal shooting at a downtown Salt Lake City hotel during an alleged drug deal, according to law enforcement. Carlos Chi and Chino Aguilar were detained by the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office near Rock Springs, Wyoming, just hours after the reported incident. Now, both are wanted for first-degree felony murder in the death of 32-year-old Christian Lee. Now, police discovered Lee's body in a room at the Spring Hill Suites in Salt Lake City. Now, investigators recovered a single shell casing and also marijuana at the scene. Now, according to arrest warrant details, a woman had met Chi through a dating app to purchase marijuana. Now, during the transaction, Lee reportedly asked the men to leave, which sparked a confrontation. Aguilar allegedly shot Lee after the victim had reached for a firearm. The suspects then fled in a Toyota Camry with Texas plates before being intercepted across state lines. Well, the shower is expected to continue into this evening as this storm has kept temperatures colder today. Highs have only been in the high 40s. And now we're going to see temps tonight dropping into the mid-30s with still a chance of some rain continuing overnight into tomorrow. Looks like tomorrow's temperature is not going to be much warmer. Highs in the mid to high 40s, low 50s, with overnight temperatures staying in the mid-30s. And weather this hour is brought to you by Firehouse Subs. Every week they team up with KVNU to recognize heroes in our community like Stacy Williamson, a principal at River Heights Elementary School. She was our latest Above and Beyond Salute winner. A listener had nominated Stacy, telling us how she is excellent with kids and faculty. They also explained how she treats each child with respect and encourages them to succeed. So we gave her a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. And of course, you can always submit a nomination for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting our website, kvnutalk.com. And KVNU News Time is now 5:08, and more of KVNU's For the People show with Jason Williams coming up next.
This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we are now Alera Group. This is great news for you. Now you have more choices and strength of a top national broker in your corner with our local personal service. Every situation is unique. Now we can tailor coverages from deductibles and limits to risk management, so it fits you even better. Let's compare options and tighten your program. Same friendly faces, same local office. Call 435-752-0101.
Know about it. Talk about it. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
When it comes to your ear, nose, and throat care, you deserve expert treatment from a board-certified physician. I'm Dr. Andrew Goetz with Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic. Along with my partner, Dr. Matt Wilson, we provide comprehensive medical and surgical care, creating personalized treatment plans that fit you. With seamless coordination between specialties at Budge Clinic, your care is truly connected. Our convenient online platform makes scheduling and communication easy. Call Budge Clinic ENT today, 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. 38 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 5:10 in the afternoon. Yeah, we were in just under 71 degrees, 70 degrees yesterday at this time. 38. Going to be a little chilly tonight. And then it gets warmer on the weekend again. So we'll make it. All right. We're going to spend the hour on technology. And I'm going to we're going to bookend the good with the bad. We'll start with some bad. We'll go to some good, and we'll go back to the bad. And in the way this will play out, a story of flock surveillance cameras. We'll talk more about what flock is to set this up, but think of a service that a city or a LEO, law enforcement department, can contract with, and they do all the work, basically. They come in, they put up the cameras, they also can employ drones, they sometimes, rarely, but sometimes also use audio recording equipment, and they'll install it all as part of the contract and maintain it all. And then the law enforcement agency, the school, the city, they get a login, and they can now use this massive surveillance system. Sounds great, right? Maybe. What happens, though, when a public records request reveals that a frightening number of people within the company that the city is contracted with have access to cameras in fitness studios, gymnastics area for young girls, a public swimming pool and changing room? Yeah, we'll talk about that. And the fallout from that in Georgia, where this literally just happened. Then, the positive story. Department of Workforce Services launching what they're calling the Child Care Connection. This is in recognition of the many child care deserts that exist here in Utah and the lack of legislative action on that front so far. Although, to defend the legislature, I'm not sure how much they can really do other than throw money at it. But the reality remains we have a lot of child care deserts. We have several here in Cache Valley, and that's defined as an area where a person would have to drive more than 30 minutes for child care, would pay more than 20% of their salary per month for child care, or has no child care options. And that happens in Rich County. It happens in Box Elder County. It even happens for some of our northwestern residents in Cache County. So it's a big deal. And as school gets out, of course, that can mean additional costs. So Utah Department of Workforce Services has a tool they're hoping will ease some of that strain and also provide the state with more data on where the child care deserts actually are. And then we'll get back to the negative stuff in the form of kind of a positive story, both a state law proposal in a bill from Representative Doug Fiafia, Republican in the state House, and a AI-related bill similar from a congressional representative here in northern Utah, Representative Blake Moore, tackling some of the challenges in AI. So that's the lineup for this hour. All technology, bad, good, bad. So, first bad story. This one horrified me, honestly. And I'm curious if listeners think I'm overreacting, if this is, I know for the most part we've all acquiesced, right, to the surveillance state, to our data being constantly collected, to our phones. We've all had that experience, right? Even though the phone manufacturers and the app makers are all telling us, we're not listening. Alexa and Google in your home tell you, we're not listening all the time. But we've all had that experience, right, where we had a conversation with somebody and then we started seeing ads for that thing or ads that were related to that conversation. We've all had that, right? It happens. So, yeah, sure, they're not listening, but apparently they are in some way, shape, or form. And we've accepted that, I think. I don't know that we should have, but we have. And it's not the end of the world. There are ways you can protect yourself. You can be smart about your data. You can be smart about actually reading terms of services before you sign up for something. You can manage your data on an active basis, which I highly recommend. And that's going further than just deleting your browser cookies. You want to actually go through and manage your data with your social media companies, anything that's going to collect a lot of information about you, which is kind of everything these days. Go in and actively manage your data at least once or twice a year. Make sure, because one thing they like to do is update their service and turn certain things back on without telling you. Facebook is notorious for this. You can go into your settings on your Facebook account. One of the reasons I don't use mine anymore is they kept doing this, and they still do this. But you go in and tell them, I don't want you to collect certain information about me. And they say, okay, great. Thanks for being conscientious about your data and your personal security. And then 6 months later, they, we just updated our whole system, new terms of service, et cetera, et cetera. You're agreeing to the terms of service by continuing to log into your account, by the way. And oops, we turned all of that data collection back on by default. You now have to go in and manually turn it back off again. But they don't tell everybody that. So we've adjusted to this. We know this is the world we live in, right? And I think it's not unreasonable to say to people, look, take some responsibility yourself and manage your data. Be aware of who's collecting it and where it's going. I don't think that's too much to ask. But I would prefer that the default was in protection of the consumers and the users, not the other way around. I doubt I'm going to get my way on that anytime soon. So with that in mind, I want to know from listeners if I am overreacting to this story. I think that this requires action. I don't know what the action really should be, but I think it requires a public response. So here's the story. And 753-5868, if you'd like to weigh in yourself, especially if you think I'm overreacting. Because I would like to see pitchforks and torches in the form of community pushback on any government entity about to enter into one of these contracts. So here's the story. A resident of Dunwoody, Georgia, that's a real name. I'm not making that up. They got curious. So the city and city law enforcement and the school district had all signed a contract with a company called Flock. If you're not familiar with Flock, they call themselves Flock Safety. And they market themselves as a company geared for businesses, government entities, schools, cities, police departments, communities. They've contracted with just HOAs before. And what they do is they make surveillance convenient. You sign a contract with Flock. They come in, they install all the cameras, they'll operate all the drones. In the rare situations where they're actually using audio recording equipment, they'll install and manage that too. They maintain it. They check it. If something fails, you just let them know. They come in and replace the camera themselves. I mean, this is on the surface, a really good deal for, say, a school district that wants a building-wide surveillance system to protect children in the event of an active shooter scenario or a child abduction. Or just even, hey, there's some person wandering around on campus and no one knows who that is. So, a lot of reasons the school wants a surveillance system, video especially. Flock says, hey, all you do, sign on the dotted line and pay us a monthly fee. We come in, we install everything, we'll maintain everything. If something breaks, we'll come in and replace it. You don't have to worry about it at all. We just put it there and you forget about it. And that's actually what they want you to do. And then you get a login for their portal, and you can go in and look at your own cameras anytime you want. You can set up how much data, video footage is stored for how long. You can also go in and adjust at any time. Say, we bought 20 cameras. It turns out we need 25. You just let Flock know. They show up within a week. Put 5 more up for you. I mean, this is a really appealing contract to sign for a city or a police department or a school district, right? Here's the problem, and it's a big one. So in Dunwoody, Georgia, a resident got curious and submitted a public records request through the city because this is a public contract. This is them using their taxpayer dollars to sign a contract with Flock Safety. So they signed or they filled out some public records requests, and all they wanted to know basically is who has access to these cameras. Who can see, we want to see the logs of what employees within the city, within the police department, within the school district, and Flock's own employees, who can look at these cameras? Who can just log in and watch through the cameras? Or through the drones. I forgot to mention that. They also have contracts where you can get drones to fly around your city, because everyone loves seeing that, right? This is what the person found. So this individual it took a long time. They filed this request July 1st of 2025. They didn't get the public records until February of 2026. And part of the reason for that is that they wanted logs from Flock, too, the company that offers this surveillance service. And Flock fought it. They said that's internal information. And the public records requester lawyered up and took him to court and said, no, this is taxpayer money, and I as a taxpayer have the right to know who can access these cameras that I can't avoid as a resident of this city if I go anywhere within a city building, inside any schools, inside the police department, or any of the public recreational facilities that all have Flock surveillance systems surrounding them now, including drones occasionally. I can't avoid this system. I'm going to be on this system, and as a taxpayer, I have a right to know who has access to it, who can watch me through these cameras. And so they took him to court, and they won. The court said, taxpayer is right. And what they found, here's just a simple list. I've linked to this on our Facebook page, but it's received wide reporting. Washington Post, New York Times, Wired Magazine. You can find stories about this everywhere, but I'll link to the original post on a Substack by this Georgian named Jason Hunyar. And here's what he found. These are just some examples. On June 4th of 2025, a private video camera, a private network video camera inside of a recreational facility the city owned, like the Logan Rec Center, for example. They were having a young girls' gymnastics class. We're talking girls, according to the class, ages 8 to 18. And so they're there in their gymnastics class, in their gymnastics clothing, and someone who works at Flock logged in and watched that camera for an hour and a half. There's a camera over the public pool in Dunwoody, Georgia. The logs show that a city safety manager logged in and stayed logged in to the camera over the public pool for 45 minutes, just watching people in their swimsuits in the pool. Now, this doesn't mean anything nefarious was going on. Flock said, hey, our employees have reasons to do this. Sometimes a camera's acting glitchy, so they'll log in and watch what the camera's doing so that they can, get rid of an issue. or fix a camera. Sometimes we have to audit our systems, so we'll actually have employees go in and make sure that the cameras are doing what they're supposed to, and that the footage we see live as we're watching through that camera is actually being recorded by our system. This is part of our internal, product quality auditing. These sound very reasonable excuses. But someone logged in and watched a bunch of young girls in gymnastics leotards jumping around on mats for an hour and a half. Just some employee of Flock in another state watched a gymnastics class at the City Rec Center at Dunwoody, Georgia, for an hour and a half. No crime. You could not charge this person with a crime. But I doubt any parent is going to be comfortable finding that out. That some random bro in another state can log into a camera and watch your daughter in a gymnastics class who's 11. These are just a handful of the examples of what this public records request found. Now, Hunyar is calling for the city to end the contract, immediately cancel the Flock contract, and shut off all devices. The city is saying, this is for public safety. They supplied some examples of when these cameras have helped law enforcement solve crimes, when these cameras have helped people get insurance claims, faster through the system because they could actually get, as a taxpayer, they could get some video from these cameras for the accident they were in. They've provided examples of how, and their defense is this makes people feel safer, that they know when they go to the rec center that there's a constant video surveillance. They're protected from predators. They're protected from, anyone who might try to harm them. There's at least going to be that level of, hey, that's all on video. I won't go commit a crime there. And that can be true. There's a reason people put those home is protected by security system X signs in their windows. Because in addition to having the security system there protecting the home, sometimes just letting people know you have one is enough to stop them from trying your front door, right? So the city's got a point on all of this. But it's a complicated situation. I can't imagine how I'd feel as a parent if I had an 11-year-old daughter and she went to a gymnastics class at a city or county-owned rec center, and then I found out, that the surveillance system that the city was contracted with, that any employee of that company that's in another state, or in the case of Flock, I believe maybe even another country, someone logged in and watched my daughter in her gymnastics class for an hour and a half? No. Another scary part of this is Flock is one of the fastest growing companies when it comes to these contracts. Cities, HOAs, school districts, police departments, they are signing contracts with taxpayer-funded government entities and neighborhood groups like HOAs faster than any other company right now. Drones, 24-hour video surveillance, unfettered access to that data for Flock employees and anyone who has the password. Am I overreacting? I think this is a problem. 753-5868. Let me know. We'll be back right after this.
Hola, Cache Valley. It's time to turn up the music, bring your appetite, and celebrate at this year's Cinco de Mayo Community Celebration, happening Saturday, May 2nd from noon until 8 at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Feel the energy of live music, from mariachi rhythms to crowd-favorite performers. Come hungry because you'll find dozens of vendors serving up incredible food, from authentic Mexican favorites to sweet treats you can't get enough of. And bring the kids, because this is a full-on family fiesta. Bounce houses, climbing walls, piñatas, and plenty more to keep them smiling all day. Best of all, admission is free and everyone is welcome. This year's Cinco de Mayo celebration is presented by DD Auto and Salvage. DD Auto Salvage gives you the most money for your old metal. Presto Products, now hiring. Apply for a career today at Presto Products in Lewiston. And Members First Credit Union, large enough to provide the services you need, small enough to provide the service you deserve. Bring your friends and family to this year's Cinco de Mayo Community Celebration, Saturday, May 2nd from noon until 8 at the Cache County Fairgrounds.
$300 per junk vehicle at DD Auto and Salvage through this Saturday, celebrating Earth Week. Always the most money for junk vehicles. Plus, aluminum cans are worth 90 cents per pound. That's the highest rate in years. And vehicle pickup is available. Plus, DD Auto and Salvage invites everyone to a free barbecue lunch Saturday from 11 to 2. Happy Earth Day, Cache Valley, from DD Auto and Salvage on Valley View Highway in Logan. $300 per junk vehicle and 90 cents per pound on aluminum cans.
Robert via text says, I'm overreacting. Says, how is this different from the old Cache Valley Mall CCTV and some security guard in a room somewhere sitting in front of the cameras? Maybe it's not. It feels different. For those just tuning in again, this is a story out of Dunwoody, Georgia. Public records request reveals that the city had signed a contract with Flock Safety, a national company, offers, basically out-of-the-box security systems, drones, 24/7 surveillance video and audio. They manage it. They'll install it. You literally sign the contract. They set it all up. If something breaks, they come in and replace. I mean, it's a really appealing contract to sign for law enforcement, for cities, for HOAs. They in neighborhoods, schools and school districts have done this. One of the fastest growing companies in the surveillance world, by the way, Flock. And this public records request out of Georgia reveals that at the city rec center, some random Flock couldn't even tell him who the employee was. But some random Flock employee was able to log in and watch young girls in a gymnastics class at the rec center, and that person watched for an hour and a half. That's creepy. Again, Robert says, how is that different than CCTV security at the old Cache Valley Mall, where they had a room where security guards would sit and look at those cameras? And yeah, I get it. It feels different to me. Maybe it isn't. That's what I'm asking. Am I overreacting? 753-5868. To me, it feels different. These systems are so pervasive, and Flock cameras are designed actually to be not intrusive, so you almost don't notice them. That's the point. And they can be mounted on telephone poles, on trees, on the sides of buildings, under window sills, on doors. They can be put everywhere, and this is all in the name of public safety. And it works to an extent, but I don't know. This story creeped me out. The idea that you could be at the public swimming pool, and some random Joe who works at this surveillance company that's in another state or even another country can log in and sit and watch all of you in your bathing suits at the swimming pool. I don't know. It bothers me. I think it's different in that it takes it to a level of convenience for those who might abuse the access to the cameras. But also, I think that there should maybe at least be some rules in place. This Georgian had to fight in court to get Flock to release their internal logs of who accessed the cameras in Dunwoody, Georgia. You shouldn't have to get a lawyer for that. If you're a taxpayer and you want to see the logs of who is accessing the citywide surveillance system that you're paying for with your tax dollars, you should be able to see that. But in this case, this Georgian had to fight for 6 months in court to see it because the private company, Flock Safety, said, no, those are our internal documents. You can't see those. Well, I'm sorry, Flock Safety. You are renting, quote unquote, through this contract, a citywide surveillance system to the city. And yeah, the taxpayer does get to see who has access to that. So maybe we just need stricter rules set up to lay this out, to say if you're going to operate in our state, these are the rules you'll comply with, because public safety is important, but so is public privacy. And I think you should at least be able to expect that if you send your daughter to a gymnastics class at the local rec center, as a taxpayer, that some random Joe 5 states away doesn't have the password for the camera in order to log in and watch your daughter in a gymnastics class for more than an hour. That's what happened in this scenario. Check it out. Again, I've linked to the stories on our Facebook page. And there you go. Okay. I promised that we would do a bad, a good, and then a bad technology story, and we're going to have time for the two bad ones. But part of that, of course, is last-minute cancellation here. Department of Workforce Services will be joining us tomorrow on the program instead of today. So we'll just do bad and bad, back-to-back technology stories. The next one, though, is not all bad, because this bad is at the heart of a story that is really a story of a state lawmaker and our representative in Congress here in the Northern District, Representative Blake Moore, trying to do something good when it comes to some of the potential bad of artificial intelligence. Going so far as to have State Representative Doug Fiafia this week saying, I don't care if the president tries to stop me. We're going to regulate this. We'll talk about what both of these proposals suggest should be done after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thanks, Jason. New numbers out this morning show that Utah's economy added an estimated 11,600 jobs over the last year, bringing the state's total non-farm payroll employment to 1,765,000. Now, this morning's report from the Department of Workforce Services also noted that the state's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate for February held steady at 3.8%, representing about 69,800 unemployed Utahns. Now, that figure still remains well below the national unemployment average of 4.4%. Now, Ben Crabb, the department's chief economist, said that the limited labor supply growth is helping to maintain the state's current unemployment rate. Now, private sector employment saw a slight year-over-year expansion, adding about 12,400 jobs. 6 of the 10 major private sector industries posted net gains, led by professionals and business services, and then education and health services. Well, turning to political news, U.S. Representative Celeste Malloy has surpassed the 7,000 signatures needed, guaranteeing her a place on the June 23rd Republican primary ballot for Utah's 3rd Congressional District. Now, Malloy's primary challengers, Phil Lyman and David Harris, meanwhile, have collected only around 1,400 to 1,800 signatures, respectively. Now, while Malloy has secured her ballot position through the signature path, state GOP convention delegates could decide this Saturday whether she faces a contested primary. Now, a strong showing among delegates on Saturday could allow Malloy to bypass the primary opponent entirely. Now, Malloy, who currently represents the 2nd District, is seeking re-election in the redrawn 3rd District following the recent court-ordered redistricting. Now, she first joined Congress after a special election victory in 2023. Now, other candidates qualifying by signature include Representative Blake Moore in the 2nd District and Democrats Ben McAdams and Nate Bluin in the 1st District. And finally, a 48-year-old Springville man is facing an attempted murder charge after allegedly stabbing a friend multiple times during a drunken altercation at his home. Donald Lee Jones is charged with first-degree felony attempted murder along with counts of assault on a peace officer, assault, and public intoxication. Now, according to court documents, Jones had invited the victim to his trailer where both men became intoxicated. Now, after an initial physical dispute, the victim sat on a couch believing that the fight had ended, but Jones then allegedly attacked him with a serrated steak knife. Now, the victim fled to a neighbor's home to call 911 and was then treated for his wounds to his chest and abdomen. Now, arriving officers reported finding Jones covered in blood and acting uncooperative, allegedly threatening to fight with police. Now, a search of the residence also revealed a blood-covered knife and significant physical evidence throughout the trailer. Jones remains in custody following that incident. Well, the shower is expected to continue through the rest of the afternoon and into tonight. And, of course, that's having some impact on high school sports this afternoon. And also, as we head into tonight, we're going to see some colder temperatures down into the mid-30s this evening and back only into the mid to low 50s for tomorrow. As the next couple of days, as this storm comes through, it's going to bring us some cold temperatures along with a lot of rain and some snow in the mountains. And weather this hour is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Yeah, maybe a great time to grab a new set of wiper blades. If you notice the ones you have right now just aren't cutting it, they have them on sale at Napa Auto Parts and in stock. Check them out. From Preston to Providence, they have 5 locations, all locally owned and operated, to take care of you. It's Napa Auto Parts. And I'm Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Iran seizing 2 vessels near the Strait of Hormuz hours after President Trump extended the ceasefire with Iran indefinitely. ABC's Tom Sophie Borridge.
If you look at the public rhetoric coming from Iranian officials right now, it is defiant, it shows confidence, and there is absolutely no sign that Iran is willing to compromise on the big issues like its nuclear program and its ability to have a nuclear program in the future.
The Pentagon says Navy Secretary John Phelan is departing the administration effective immediately. An administration official says he was asked to step down. Tinderbox conditions leading to growing wildfires in Georgia. Dozens of homes destroyed, the governor declaring a state of emergency. Emergency crews on the scene of a deadly chemical leak in West Virginia. At least 2 workers killed. More than a dozen hospitalized. Residents are warned to shelter in place. Congressman David Scott has died at age 80. The Georgia Democrats' death creating a sudden 5th vacancy in the House amid 3 resignations this month. This is ABC News.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Spring special. Terminate your weeds and green up your yard for only $40, based on maximum 5,000 square foot or less.
There are moments that shape a lifetime, from first plans to first steps, backyard throws to big wins. And for the biggest decisions, who you choose matters. Where life starts, home begins. Bank of Utah Home Loans. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Bank of Utah is an equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 422914.
Did your washer just quit and now your laundry is piling up? If your appliance is broken down, give Daryl's Appliance a call. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. We are the only appliance shop in Cache Valley that offers service and sales. That means we have an exclusive, no-stress service call offer. You can apply your service trip fee to a new appliance if you decide you want a new appliance instead. Save time and money with everything under one roof. Servicing northern Utah and southern Idaho at Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road. See store for details.
Have you pulled your spring sheets out of storage, and do they smell stale and need freshening up? How about your blankets and your quilts? Are things dingy from winter use? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It takes no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, and it costs a lot less than the dry cleaners, and free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, too. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
Tired of the daily grind? There's an easier way to get around. Connect Transit takes the stress out of your commute. No gas, no parking, no hassle. Just a warm seat and a quiet ride. Connect Transit. This is how we roll. Visit rideconnectutah.gov.
Hola, Cache Valley. It's time to turn up the music, bring your appetite, and celebrate at this year's Cinco de Mayo Community Celebration, happening Saturday, May 2nd from noon until 8 at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Feel the energy of live music, from mariachi rhythms to crowd-favorite performers. Come hungry, because you'll find dozens of vendors serving up incredible food, from authentic Mexican favorites to sweet treats you can't get enough of. And bring the kids, because this is a full-on family fiesta. Bounce houses, climbing walls, piñatas, and plenty more to keep them smiling all day. Best of all, admission is free and everyone is welcome. This year's Cinco de Mayo celebration is presented by DD Auto and Salvage. DD Auto Salvage gives you the most money for your old metal. Presto Products, now hiring. Apply for a career today at Presto Products in Lewiston. And Members First Credit Union, large enough to provide the services you need, small enough to provide the service you deserve. Bring your friends and family to this year's Cinco de Mayo Community Celebration, Saturday, May 2nd from noon until 8 at the Cache County Fairgrounds.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. Republicans are growing anxious about their campaign messages ahead of the midterm elections. Here are the significant changes they want. Also, with Apple not exactly blazing new trails in the AI era, what will the new CEO bring to the table? We'll examine Apple without Tim Cook and how to switch AI chatbots and reasons you probably should. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Artificial intelligence, of course, at the heart of a lot of legislative discussions during the legislative session, and all of it kind of came to a halt after the White House said, we'll sue you. Basically was the CTFC chair's pre-statement. It wasn't really a response. The bills hadn't passed yet. One wasn't even finished being written yet. But they said, states that are the White House said states that plan to, you have to understand, so from the White House's perspective, beating everyone else on developing the best AI, and you also have to back up even further. Let's go back further. Everyone's overselling this. The investors have a lot of incentive to oversell this. The companies that have solicited those investors have double the incentive to oversell this. So that's the foundation we're really operating on here. But either way, all these promises were made, and everyone's scrambling to implement AI before they know if it really is ever going to be able to get where people are promising it's going to get. And maybe, I don't know. It's looking increasingly unlikely, but still, maybe. The international concern for the White House is China getting there before us. So they're saying to states, don't regulate this yet because you'll slow it down. And China can't beat us. But the states, Utah, for example, are saying, hey, like one of the Utah bills was trying to protect children, basically saying you couldn't you couldn't use AI to produce content that would be harmful to children or that would depict the exploitation of children. To actually clarify that in Utah law. Pretty reasonable regulation, right? So lawmakers punted. I think it was a mistake on their part. They should have passed the bills and forced them to sue, because if it's going to go there anyway, get it over with. They wouldn't have sued, by the way. Empty threat. But we didn't pass those bills. So apparently since the session, State Representative Doug Fiafia has been irritated by that. He was one of the sponsors of the bills that kind of got put on hold. And in a statement, Representative Fiafia, by the way, is a Republican from, I had this and now I've forgotten, Riverton area. So he's a Utah State Representative. He's running for his second term. So he's new, but not entirely new. Or third term, sorry. And he, at an event over the weekend that was actually on somebody's back deck in the suburbs just south of Salt Lake City, a bunch of Republican activists, a few lawmakers, and others were there. And this was part of Representative Fiafia was this was a campaign event. He's running for re-election, but it was a campaign event. He doesn't really have an aggressive challenger, so he's using his campaign events as because this is a race where the Republican's going to win, and he doesn't have an inter-party challenger. So he'll beat the Democrat, and I think there's a Constitution Party candidate in his race too. He'll beat them. So he knows that, but he's still campaigning. He's using his campaign events as sort of a public education tour. And so he has been talking about artificial intelligence. And he said at an event on Saturday that he has been kind of stewing about what happened to his bill during the legislative session. And he said, the more I've thought about it, the more angry I am with the White House, and the more angry I am that we decided to hold these bills. He said we should have passed them. So Fiafia comes with a background in this. He used to work for Google, And he went into politics saying that this was a insanely unregulated industry that was exploiting and dealing with a lot of our data on a daily basis. And he's now made this the centerpiece of his reelection campaign. He said at the event, quoted by, you can read the story here at CashValleyDaily.com by Nicholas Riccardi of the Associated Press. And he's quoted, Fiafia is quoted as saying, "I know it sounds like, Doug, this is all you talk about." And he responds, "That's because it's coming. Actually, it's here. And it's going to be one of our biggest fights." In all of this, he said, he regrets acquiescing when leadership came to him and said, "Look, the White House wants us to hold these bills. We think we're going to hold them." And Fiafia said, "All right, I get it." When the White House, when you share the party identification of the person in the White House, he more likely to kind of play along. But Fiafia says since the session wrapped, or first week of March, this is just kind of gnawed at him. He says, "I think we made a mistake. I think we should have moved ahead with these bills." And he said, I'm going to do it. He said, his exact quote, "Trump wants to stop the states from regulating AI, but I'm not listening." And he cited in his conversation, he cited a bunch of different things, but one of the ones that stands out to me is he said, these companies, big tech companies, have, quote, armies of full-time lobbyists. And he said what they get away with is they swarm and overwhelm state lawmakers, especially young state lawmakers. And they just kind of swamp our system and they break down the conversations, all with the goal of, in the pretense of having a robust debate about the bill. He said all they're trying to do is actually kill the bill. They don't want to have a debate about the bill. He says he's talked to state lawmakers, Republican and Democrat alike, in other states. He said regardless of whether they're in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, they've had the same experience. Run an AI bill, get swarmed by AI lobbyists, and have your inbox stuffed with form letters that the AI companies have the technology to get out there for people to sign, And he said it's almost impossible to fight them. But he says he wants to. He says that he regrets, acquiescing to his bill being paused during the session. And says that he, in his challenge for a state Senate seat in this race, he wants to make this kind of center point of his campaign. He says this might cost me my reelection, sink my hopes of being a part of the state Senate, moving over from the House to the state Senate. But he said the Trump administration wants zero AI regulations, and I think that's wrong. He said, I agree with a lot of what Trump says on taxes, but I disagree with him on this. And he promises that in the next legislative session, he'll be bringing not only the AI bills that were scuttled this session back, but he says he's got a couple more. It'll be interesting to watch how this plays out, because he's right. They've got armies of full-time lobbyists, and they've got a lot of money to fight him on this. But Fiafia, by the way, currently works for a Utah-based cloud computing and AI company. So he's not a Luddite. He's not saying, let's stop this. What he's saying, in his own words, is it's completely unregulated right now, and that puts us at danger, especially children. Fiafia said, what I realize is big tech does care about their bottom line, and they're worried about making money, not necessarily doing what's right for the human race. And he says that the bill that he ran was described by the president as unfixable, and Fiafia says he completely disagrees. He says, I've been around long enough to recognize the invention of fire, the wheel, cars, and the internet did not ruin society, and I'm very skeptical of anyone trying to scare society into extreme regulations, but some regulation in this case is definitely due. So we'll see. For his part, by the way, State Senator Dan McKay is challenger in this run, as Fiafia vies for the Senate seat, who, after serving in the House a few terms. Fiafia, his opponent, Senator Dan McKay from Riverton, said he worries that FIA's bills would drive AI innovation out of business in Utah. So this is going to be a race to watch. Even though, whoever wins is not going to represent any of us, this is way down in Riverton. It's interesting to see this one state Senate race become all about artificial intelligence. And we'll see which case being made here resounds with the most voters sometime in a June primary. We'll be back with more For the People. Talk about how Representative Blake Moore in Congress also taking some steps towards a more sane AI future. This one involving AI toys. Details right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs. If you're having cooling problems, we're here to get them fixed. Just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs.
Spring revives everything. Your weekend plans, your sense of adventure, and your drive. If you've been putting off that upgrade, this is the moment to get behind the wheel of something new. Come experience the Revive and Drive event today at Murdoch Volkswagen. This month, receive 0% for 5 years on a new Atlas or lease a new Jetta for $299 per month. You've got to come and see us at Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 4/30/26.
Hi, this is Travis from Green Grow. We specialize in hydroseeding, lawn fertilization, aeration, and weed control. Last year was rough. We suffered the worst grub damage in decades. If your lawn needs extra help, call us today so we can discuss solutions to get your grass back on track. Mention this ad and ask about our spring special. Call or text us 801-394-3286, 801-394-3286.
I'm Jay Sallin, founder of Allen Law. My focus has always been helping families protect what matters most through meaningful estate planning. I've now joined forces with attorney mediator Chris Guyman of the Conflict Resolution Center and seasoned litigator Sam Goebel to form the Allies Law Firm. Whether you're planning ahead, resolving marital conflict, or facing a courtroom battle, we bring strategy, strength, and experience together under one roof. Because when it matters most, you deserve the Allies Law Firm. Call the Allies Law Firm today. We plan, we fight, you win.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho listen, and radio reaches them. From Logan to Brigham City, your customers are tuning in every day on their commute, at work, and on the way to shop. 93% of Americans listen monthly, and those are real people, not bots. In the car, where buying decisions happen, radio dominates. So if you want your business in front of real customers, you want radio. Get started today with Cache Valley Media Group.
On the AI front, Congressman Blake Moore also jumping in on this one, introducing late last week the what he's calling the AI Children's Toy Safety Act. This is a response to some pretty horrifying news stories. I shouldn't laugh. I laugh because it's almost ridiculously absurd, some of these stories. But this is, this bill really doesn't need a complicated explanation. This is a ban for the time being on AI toys. The AI Children's Toy Safety Act, Moore's office said, draws a line in the sand. AI companies shouldn't be using children's toys as a vessel for data collection or to influence minors. The act, Moore said, is in response to recent news stories that showed this was a public testing group, something like Consumer Reports, but it was called something else. And details on this you can find in the story at CacheValleyDaily.com. They found that these AI chatbot toys that were meant to be interactive for a child, but basically had an AI chatbot installed that would connect to the home Wi-Fi and do AI chatbot things. They said that these public interest groups tested these toys, and they said very frequently it didn't take long to get these toys to veer off with some questions that would be very reasonable for a child to ask. Didn't take very long for these toys to start spouting adult themes, vulgar language, even explicit discussions of sexual situations and content. And they said that when they tried to stop the AI chatbot from doing that, it refused. No parent wants that. So Moore's bill basically puts a moratorium on AI chatbots until certain thresholds of consumer and child safety can be proven. Pretty reasonable. Check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. Representative Blake Moore's AI Children's Toy Safety Act is now public. Link on the Facebook page, and thank you for tuning in. It's been, I know, kind of a heavy hour on the technology front, but I think we'll be okay. Maybe. I hope you'll be with us tomorrow. We'll take a second stab at this Department of Workforce Services new Child Care Connect tool with a representative joining us tomorrow on the program after having to cancel last minute today. And I hope you'll stick around. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU.